What's up guys, today in the show we have a Judo brown belt who also happens to be a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu purple belt. This is an action-packed roll with plenty to learn about takedowns and the ground game. You won't see any guard pulling, and as always there's lots of slow motion so you can see and learn clearly. Before we start, I'd like to say big congratulations to Steve on his silver medal at the Ontario Open this past weekend. He hit this wicked throw and had a great performance all around. Also before we start, I'd like to say a big thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of super interesting and useful courses so you can learn and discover new skills or deepen existing ones, which is exactly what I've been doing. I don't know if you've noticed, but my editing has improved significantly lately. That's because I've been taking visual storytelling with Final Cut Pro X by Andrew Gormley. It's really paid off, especially all the freeze frames that I've been using. They have classes on productivity, business, making a YouTube channel, editing videos, painting, arts, and everything you can think of. Skillshare is ad-free so you can stay in the zone while exploring new skills, and new premium classes are launched each week so there's always something new to discover. And the entire catalog is now available in subtitles in Spanish, French, Portuguese, and German. The first 1,000 people to use my link or my code JordanTeachesJujitsu will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Skillshare is seriously awesome, and a big thank you to them for sponsoring the videos. Alright, let's get started with the roll. Right away, Steve takes a grip on my lapel, which I immediately look to break and try to prevent him from taking that grip on me again. What's the point of breaking it if I just let him have it back? This is a mistake that a lot of people make. I like to take deep underhooks on people by shrugging my shoulder to get it underneath their armpit, and look to take the body lock. This is what I was trying to do, but Steve's grip on my belt made it not possible. Instead, I try to transition into a hip throw, but Steve rides my thigh with his knee to keep my hips behind him. In Judo, you can't actually touch the legs, but this isn't Judo, so I go for a knee tap, and as I do, I make sure my knees and hips are pointed towards the mats, so Steve can't use momentum to re-roll me and him end up on top. I hop up onto my feet and smash Steve's legs down to the side, using a pass called the side smash. As he looks to try and take a half guard, I backstep to clear the legs and enter into side control. Because I don't have control of Steve's head, I have to control the hips. You definitely want to keep people on their backs in side control, but Steve's doing a great job of shrimping. Because I have counters available, it's no big deal, like this rolling back attack. As I roll, I adjust my feet positioning, which can be riskier than establishing feet positioning first before you roll, but it looks cool and was worth the risk. Steve shouldn't have his hand behind me. This makes it easy for me to bring my hand underneath his head and hit the twister. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. That helps me out and I appreciate it. This is actually my first time doing stand-up in the gi with a judo guy. I've spent way more time wrestling than I have doing stand-up in the gi, so I found it pretty interesting to adjust and learn as I went. These foot sweeps that Steve is going for are going to be hard to get without also outbalancing my upper body, which in judo they call kazushi, but I imagine Steve is trying to get a reaction out of me to set up other throws. I tried to get behind Steve for the body block, which is a mistake because he had that grip on my belt again. I made a similar mistake in this roll when my opponent had an overhook. I guess I didn't learn from it, but now I will. The problem with these type of throws is that you need to completely flip the person over onto their back, otherwise their underhook will keep them on their side and they'll be able to reset, or even take top position like you see me do here. If I didn't have control of Steve's ankle, I'd be vulnerable to the triangle, but I'm aware of the threat and pop up to my feet and into headquarters. Headquarters is when you have one of your opponent's legs between yours and you're sitting down on it. Right here, Steve's left arm shouldn't be reaching up as it gives me access to an underhook. Steve's right arm under his leg will make it difficult to knee slide since you need that leg flat on the mat to knee slide, but he takes it out and that clears the path for me. I didn't control Steve's head fast enough to keep him on his back, and again he does a great job of shrimping to get onto his side. Since there's back exposure on the other side, I jump to it, but get caught in Steve's half guard in the process. Steve doesn't let me grab his head, which is smart, so I change my angle to address it, while starting to work to clear my foot and enter into mount. Really quickly, and I'm sure the majority knows this, but this video isn't meant to say Jiu-Jitsu is better than Judo, or show off how good I am, or anything like that. The purpose is to teach Jiu-Jitsu, and Steve was kind enough to volunteer. Even though the purpose of the channel isn't the name of the channel, I get the odd commenter that doesn't get that. Steve is getting to his side again, and I risk him grabbing my legs and wrestling me down. So to counter, I keep my hips low to put him on his back. Eventually though, I just let him get onto his side as I can feel there's space between his neck and shoulder to get my hands underneath for a choke. I wait until he gets completely onto his knees and then snatch up the arm in guillotine. The way my legs are positioned stop him from escaping to my left, but there's nothing stopping him going to my right, but it doesn't matter. Going that direction leads to the mounted guillotine. Now I slowly rotate my body to finish, making sure it's all choke and no crank. It's important to look out for your partner's safety and apply submissions correctly. All takedowns and all techniques in general come from you winning the grip battle, and specifically you're looking for inside position, and you can really see that here. Steve has inside position and is winning the grip battle. My grip on the outside doesn't really help me much for offense, but it's all I can get right now. Watch how Steve enters first to try to get a reaction out of me, and then with the space made, drops down for sumo gaishi. A lot of judo and wrestling revolves around getting your opponent to react first and then chaining techniques together. I try for a quick little foot sweep, and since my level's already lowered, I shoot in for a double, turning the corner to finish. Steve tries to elevate me with this butterfly hook, but I just ride it as I change my angle to where he'll have no power. Although my elbow is a little open here, there's no Kimura threat because I have control of Steve's arm, the one that would be needed to grab my wrist. Steve shouldn't be reaching up like this. He should have his hands low, pushing down on my hips. We all make mistakes though, and this allows me to come up to a higher mount, and now his arm's all jacked up and ready for me to take advantage of. And that's what I do. This is a gift wrap, and this allows me to enter into my chair sit back take by shooting my knee high and pulling Steve onto my lap. It's a lot easier trapping arms with your top hook rather than your bottom hook. In this position I have triangles and arm bars available, and if I want to get underneath the chin for a collar choke or rear naked choke, it'll be easier because his arm is trapped and unable to defend. Right now my wrist / hand is injured and it's difficult to do certain attacks. This whole roll is difficult actually because of it, but I took one for the team. Let me know if you're injured right now and what happened. I have to use submissions that won't hurt it, like the triangle. Right now my leg's in front of Steve's face, but I bring it behind his head for the triangle. It'll be harder to finish as Steve goes belly down like this, which is why I continue the roll to put Steve back on his back. It's really checkmate from here, and I have the option of either the armbar or the triangle. I'm pretty sure he tapped to the triangle. You have to be disciplined and address underhooks whether you're standing or on the ground. As Steve takes an underhook on me, I frame with my forearm to make enough room for my elbow to circle in for my own underhook. I try for a knee tap, but Steve's grip on my sleeve prevents me, and then I do the same dumb thing again by bringing my hips behind Steve while he's controlling my belt, which puts me at risk of the hip throw. Now we're battling for hip positioning, trying to get our hips in front of each other. Instead of continuing to play that game, I pull Steve over my knee, kind of like a sacrifice throw. I'm not sure what the name for this would be. In close guard, there's passes you can do from low posture and passes you can do from high posture. Right now I'm postured low and controlling Steve's grips to prevent his offense. I can't let Steve get an angle on me. As he moves his hips out, I square up with him to put him back on his back. This is a cool and frustrating pass to get stuck in. I pass Steve's arm underneath his back to my other hand and drop down, aiming to put Steve's right leg flat on the mat. My right arm underhook prevents the back take, and Steve's hips can't get close enough to my shoulders to triangle me. Now I can reach back and start clearing the feet. A quick back step gets the job done to finish the pass, and now immediately I control the head and staple Steve's arm to trap it, using my knee on one side and my toes on the other. From side control, when your opponent's arm is in front of your face, it's Americana territory, and when it's behind your back, it's far side armbar territory. I let Steve pick his demise, and now I spin around for the armbar, and remember my hand is injured, so I have to be careful in how I approach breaking Steve's defensive armbar grips. Instead I'm patient and wait for a way to hit a triangle instead. I just need my leg behind Steve's head rather than in front of his face, but I can't be too impatient either and make too much space and have him escape. Eventually I find my opportunity, and now it's locked on, and again I have the armbar available to me, and Steve is in a much more compromised state to defend his arm with his grips. As always, I'd like to say a big thank you to all my patrons who support the channel. You guys are the best, and thank you for sticking around until the end of the video. If you're still here, please leave a comment or a fist bump, and I'll see you guys next time.